Create Art Podcast. Project NaPoWriMo, otherwise known as National Poetry Writing Month. Hello friends, this is Timothy Chemo Bryan, your head instigator for Create Art Podcast, where I bring my 20 plus years of experience in the arts and education world to help you tame your inner critic and create more than you consume. So this month is National Poetry Writing Month. Happens every April. And National Poetry Writing Month is known as NaPoWriMo, and it's a creative writing project. And what they do is they give you prompts. If you go to the NaPoWriMo website at NaPoWriMo.net, and they'll give you 30 prompts for the 30 days in April. Now, on the website, you can also interact with other people. This year is going to be different from the previous years that I've done this project. This year, I'm going to be writing poetry throughout the year, and I am following a different prompt than the one that the National Poetry Writing Month folks do. Now, I've been doing poetry since 1988. I know for a lot of people here, they're like, whoa, the 1900s. But I've been doing it for a long time. I've been writing poetry for a long time and performing my poetry. So this year, like I said, I'm going to be writing all throughout the year. And the blog that I'm using is called Think Written. And the links for that will be in the show notes. I'm also going to be performing these works at Couture Coffee House here in Fredericksburg, Virginia on their Friday night Snaps open mic poetry reading. You'll have a link for that again in the show notes. And a lot of people, they ask me, hey, Tim, why do you do this to yourself every year? And my answer to that is, if I'm going to ask you to be, taming your inner critic and creating things, then I need to be doing it too, right alongside you. So that's why this year I'm doing it a little bit different, but I will be interacting with the poets there on the NaPoWriMo site. And we'll see how this goes. I'm pretty excited to be doing it this way. So the prompt for today is entitled Weirder Than Fiction. Think of the most unbelievable moment of your life and write a poem about the experience. For those of you that know me pretty well, I've got a lot of those moments. But this one sprung to mind first. It's called Greyhound Pimpin'. The cheapest way to see the country, with people you will probably never meet again. I was on the East Coast heading out west, to the city of sun, Phoenix, to visit a friend. After pushing off the homeless guys, begging for a smoke or spare change at the depot, I got into the bus where all the seats are coach. Towards the back, near the bathrooms, the slight smell of antiseptic and piss soaked into the cotton seats. We pulled out of there, just to stop again and again and again, gaining more and more people, dropping off others. The miles crawled by. We got to Atlanta that night. Time to switch buses. Time to find my bags and tote them over to our new driver. The same bums begging for change followed us, like there was an ATM on board, and naturally we were all well off, seeing the country the cheapest way possible. There was a couple already occupying the back seats, and I sat in front of them. The smell had changed from cleaner and piss to sweet, sweet rock gut with a hint of patchouli. So I gave him my spare pack of smokes, and at each stop we stood off from the others and huffed our way to bliss. The driver came back more than once, complaining of the smell and noise. I could play straight easily, but they were true amateurs. By the time we got to El Paso, the cops were waiting for them. As we left the bus for another round, they were taken in, and I puffed a smoke a stone's throw away. They waved goodbye, And I said, till we meet again. I got back on that bus and changed seats, trying to outsmart the driver. And when we stopped at the border security station, I thought they were coming for me. They pulled off a few who looked darker than those in the land of the free. They didn't wave at me, and I didn't say goodbye. They were lost in that New Mexico sky. We pulled into Phoenix. The heat was still on high. The city didn't care if it's the middle of fall or summer. It's hot all the time. And there was my friend waiting in his Mercedes. The bums from Richmond and Atlanta followed us and started to beg again. When they tried to wash his windows, he pulled out his gun. They scurried off like mice, and we headed to the next strip club. All right, so that was my poem for this day for National Poetry Writing Month. I hope you enjoyed it. You can go right to the website, createartpodcast.com, and you can go ahead and comment right there in the comment section if you like. Now, something I'd like to ask you is, if you enjoyed it, shoot me an email, timothy@createartpodcast.com. I want to hear about your journey, and I want to hear about what you're working on. And if you'd like to be on the show or, would like to discuss a topic that's giving you trouble, well, then go ahead and email me. Let's start that conversation. I also want to let you know about another podcast that I do, and that one is called Find a Podcast About, and that's where I help you find your next binge-worthy podcast and outsmart that algorithm. You can find that podcast at findapodcastabout.xyz. Last thing I'd like to say here is if you found value in the show, let me know. Pass it on to a friend. If you have ideas on what I could do better to make this a 5-star podcast, I want to hear about those too. I want to be helping you with your art, to be bold with your art, as I do it right beside you. I'll see you next time.